I got my team and it's all I need.
What's going on, everyone? We have another episode of Game Time Excellence. Today, we have a special guest. This is my first guest that is a GQ model, you know what I mean? He's an actor. We graduated together. We didn't graduate together. We played football together at the University of Wyoming. I left my second year. He stayed, unfortunately. So, well, we have a special guest today with you, Mark Willis. And you guys should know who he is. But for the people who don't know who you are, Mark, go ahead and let them know a little bit about yourself.
So I am a actor, model, and I've been in things like Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, of course, Black Panther, model for companies like Target, Apple, bunch of different things. So
No, that's dope, man. That's dope. Shoot, you know, I like to say, I dibble and dabble and a little bit of acting myself. I was on, I can't even remember what it was, but it was like this parody of religion, and I was like supposed to be this king, and I didn't say any words. I didn't have to say anything. So and I actually did. We were just talking about this before we started going on air. I had my first video audition, and that is the hardest thing known to man. Having to remember your script in 5 minutes. Like,
it's super quick. The thing with that is it's really based off of like doing it over and over again. Because on Chicago PD, we get the script maybe like 10 or so minutes beforehand, and you have to like know everything. So you have to learn how to do that really quick, just like repetition in your head over and over again to like get everything down. And then if you can't like remember what like everything that the other person's going to say before you, you should like at least get that last sentence or so. And when you get that last sentence, then like, oh, this is the trigger. Like, okay, I'm supposed to say something here.
Right.
Then after that, like I said, just repetition to get everything down.
No, that's true, man. Because I did a YouTube video too with my daughter, so we were like reading a book together, and I said, "Hey, my name is Shamil Gary." Crickets. I'm like, girl, if you don't say your
what's
name,
next? Right? Say your name.
Right. So that's so cool though. But the cool thing is right here, what Game Time Excellence is about your mission, your mindset, mastery, and maintenance. And as athletes, they see us perform on game day, but they don't see what it takes to be excellent on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You know what I mean? And going from when you were younger, what was your mission to make it to a D1 school? And then did you know you wanted to be an actor?
So when I was younger, I didn't start actually playing football until high school.
Oh, wow.
So my freshman year, that was my first year actually playing. And I was all about basketball at first. Like, that was my thing. And then I played football for the first time. I was like, wait a minute, hold on. So did that, and then like started getting recruited around like sophomore, junior year. And then I was like, okay, maybe this is like what I should be focusing on, So then started with that, and then eventually got to Wyoming, and that was an experience right there. So, you know about that.
Oh yeah. And so how'd you as far as like you started off in high school, which is amazing. I didn't even know you didn't start playing football until your freshman year. And for you guys that don't know, if you guys can't tell, man, Mark is a large human being. Okay, very large. Okay. How tall are you? Like 6'4", 6?
Yeah, 6'4".
Yeah, man, and he's rocked up. Okay, I don't know if he's rocked up anymore, but he was rocked up back in the day.
Right.
And so when you got to Wyoming, how was that transition like for you?
It was very different because I'm from the Chicago area, so going from tall buildings and people who don't talk when you're on the street or whatever, and then you go to a place where it's the tallest buildings are the dorms,
right? I know,
and people are like super nice on the street, and it's like, wait a minute, you're talking to me? It's a totally different atmosphere. And so going from a big city to a small city, adjusting to that, and just trying not to get like kind of lost and isolated, being, you know, by yourself, kind of like that whole adjusting, like also not knowing anybody, but like you still with like a bunch of your teammates over there, so you kind of get that camaraderie there, but like still kind of finding yourself in that whole thing. So it was kind of difficult to start off with.
No, for sure. And so what was like your ultimate like mission while you were in college? You know, what was your ultimate goal?
I did think about, you know, playing at the professional level, but at the same time, I got a degree in communication, and I was thinking about doing like sports journalism, like being a sports anchor or something like that, like on ESPN or something like that. So I was kind of like focused on that. And then along the lines there, I was just like, I don't really want to do that. I think that happens with a lot of people where they have like some idea and then they like totally just change it in college, and it's like, you know, I don't want to do that anymore. So and then after that, just trying to find like what it is I do want to do. It's really difficult, you know.
So, for sure. Because it's tough because, you know, growing up, you have this ideal of like where you want to go, and then you know, things happen, you know, especially when you're in college. You know, for you, like you told me before, you know, you tore your ACL, then you had a meniscus tear. You know, and then that makes you question, like, do I really still want to play? Because I've had concussions, and I'm like, man, my head is pounding, and that's what made me. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. And so for you, once college was done, you know, you decided that you had another year. I don't want to play anymore. Tell the story about how you like found acting, you know?
So my aunt saw a casting in a newspaper, like an ad, and it was for Star Wars, like the new trilogy that they were starting, and they were looking for some actors to, you know, play the lead roles. And so they're going to different major cities, like all over the country, to audition people. And so they're coming to Chicago, and she saw the casting and was like, "You're kind of weird. You're a character. You should go do this." And I was like, well, first off, thank you for calling me weird. Second off, I've never thought about acting before in my life. And you know what? I'll go do that. So I go there. The line is wrapped around about like 10 blocks. A ton of people are out there. And I'm like, great. You know, like I'm going to be out here for a while. And then it being fall time in Chicago, it's cold, raining and everything. I was not prepared. And so I'm just like, this is awful. I made a terrible mistake. And then I'm like, but if I get to the front of the line, then maybe they'll see me and something good will happen. So I get to the front of the line, and they tell us that it got cut off. And then they came out and gave us these pieces of paper, which happened to have the like a couple of casting websites on there. And these are actually the same casting websites that your agent would use to submit you for like all the projects that are available out there. So now I have this power in my hand. I don't like necessarily need an agent right there. So that was a blessing in disguise right there. You know? And so then they say you can do that an online audition, like you said. And so I do that first online audition, which it was kind of awful. I'm not gonna lie. Not gonna lie.
You gotta start somewhere though. You gotta start somewhere.
Right. It was not good. And but I had so much fun doing it that I was like, you know, I gotta do this for the rest of my life. And so I had like found, you know, what I wanted to do right then. So,
That's awesome. So, you know, and that's so crazy how you can find the mission that you want to live for the rest of your life just off of a coincidence, you know?
Right.
That's a blessing right there.
When I went to Wyoming earlier this year, I got to do like a keynote speech for Martin Luther King Days of Dialogue, and so the whole subject of the talk was like doing it for the vision. So like once you get that vision, do everything you can just like to make that vision come true.
Yeah.
And so after I'd done that first audition, I was like, this is the vision that I have, and I have to make this work, you know. So and you never know when that vision is going to come, but like when it does, you like, that's what you have to go for, you know. So
yeah. So what's your ultimate goal now with the vision, you know, for acting?
Yeah, so now I want my own TV series. That'd be great.
Right.
To have my, you know, be the star of my own movie. And then I think ultimately I would love to be able to make like a production company to really help people of color have, you know, better, more positive roles. Because like when I first got into the whole thing, the roles available for people of color was like, you know, drug addict, drug user, gangster, thug, and I'm just like, we can't be positive role models. So I think like being able to make movies and TV shows where like we have, you know, positive things that we can show off to the younger generation, because, you know, that'd be great.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. That's really empowering and powerful, because, you know, I can't think of a show right now like the Huxtables. I can't remember. What's
right.
Or
Cosby's.
The Cosby's. You know, Bill. You know, I'm sorry, Bill, but you know, then you got like the Fresh Prince, right?
Right.
Then you had Family Matters. Then you had, you know, we don't have any.
We don't have those now. Like what?
Yeah.
Where'd all those go?
Like really though, like I can't even think of one like on Netflix.
Right.
Or Hulu.
I can't either.
Anything, you know what I mean? So,
all we got like Power, drugs, Snowfall, drugs. Like
that's so true. So you talk about doing everything for the vision, right? Going after it. So what's your mindset that you have like for that? Because I'm pretty sure with anything, there's some ups and downs. There's some times where you doubt yourself, all that type of stuff. So how do you do that? Like, what's your mindset when it comes to that?
So I think you really have to game plan. Like for say acting, like you have to go to acting classes to like, you know, perfect everything, and then also try not to be discouraged with failed auditions, because there's so much that goes into that that's like you have no control over.
Right.
Like you can be you can go in the room and like slam the audition and still not get it because the way you look. Like you could be too tall, you could be too short, you could be like too good looking, you could be like, you know, things like that. So there's so much that you can't control, and you can't like get down about it. You just have to, you know, keep submitting yourself to projects and like staying on top of the whole thing. And even if you have like an agent who's like fighting for you, you should still like submit yourself to projects, because your vision might be a little bit different than their vision of like what you can portray or whatever. So just staying on top of it, that whole thing. So just staying consistent and being a self-starter is like huge in the acting world. So
so self-starter, so game planning, being a self-starter, and
being consistent
is what you're saying. That's your mindset when it comes to like succeeding in your industry.
Because you never know who's watching or anything like that. Like when I told the story of how I got the role in Black Panther, I put that out on Facebook. It's pretty long post. So I did that, and then it got shared so many times, and people started inviting me out to different events to tell that story. And then from there, like every news station in town like wanted me to come in and talk about it. Every newspaper did too. And then from that, so many eyes were on me that like, I got so many opportunities to be in stuff that like you never know who's watching.
Right.
You never know. So
yeah. So go ahead and tell that story then. I want to hear it. Like,
woo. Okay. Yeah. Here we go. So, probably 2016 or so. Mm-hmm. That's when like the movie got like announced that it was going to happen.
Right.
And at the time, I had like no real like. I knew who Black Panther was based on like the other movies, like you know Civil War and all that, but I didn't really know like the background of the character. So then, but like everyone I knew was so like excited about it. So I'm like, okay, I gotta check this whole thing out.
Right.
So I check it out and realize like, oh, it's like one of the first Black superheroes and all that. Like, this is amazing. And so then all of my acting friends were like, yo, I gotta be in this. I gotta be in this. So then like I started being like, I gotta be in this too, you know?
Right, yeah.
And so then that's when I really got a vision of like seeing myself being on set and doing stuff. And so I keep seeing this like vividly over and over again. And so I'm like, all right, I must be going to be in this movie, right? And so then I stumble across the address for the casting office for the movie. I'm like, this must be it right here. Like, this must be it. So I get my headshot and resume and send that off, and I hear absolutely nothing.
Right.
And I'm like, God, what were you saying before? Like, did I just write the address wrong or something? Let me try this again.
Yep.
So I send it out again and hear nothing again. And I'm like, you know, great. Like, I thought this was it.
Right.
And so then, like probably a year later, I was on the same websites that I told you about before.
Right.
And there was a casting for something called Motherland. And for that, they were looking for someone who was Black, tall, athletic, handsome, and muscular.
Right.
And I was like,
that's you, right?
I'm like, I got to be at least one of those things. so I submit myself for that. And I didn't really think like a ton about it, just because I'm always on there submitting for stuff and you know, might not even hear anything. So I submitted for that, and then I had to go to Dallas like that following week to go and do a Pepsi commercial. So Pepsi commercial was to be like a Dallas Cowboy. So we were at the stadium and we were doing this like stupid dance for hours and hours. It was dumb. Yeah. But anyway, it was such like it was a national commercial, and like the stars were out for that. So like Dak Prescott was there, Jerry Jones was there, like Deion Sanders was there, just like a bunch of like high profile people. So because of that, you couldn't take your phones out on the set because like, you know, they want to keep things private.
Right.
So we had to leave that in the locker room. So we got done with that commercial at 1 a.m. like the next day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so then I get back to my phone and I see a text from some Georgia number. And it said, this is the casting director from Motherland. We saw your submission. We really like you, but we need more information on you. And I'm like, and then it said at the bottom, like, we need this information in the next 30 minutes.
Oh.
And that message was sent at 5 p.m. the previous day.
Right.
So now I'm like, oh, great. I just like made some casting director really mad.
Right.
Like, what I do? I totally missed that window. Like, great. So I end up going back to Chicago the next day and go and do like a shooting for the day for Chicago PD. So I do that and then come back home and I get a text from a totally different Georgia number. And this one was like, this is the casting director again from Motherland, aka Black Panther. And I was like,
oh,
what?
Yeah.
So that's when I realized that they're using a code name for like to protect the fact that it's Black Panther. You know?
Right.
So I'm like, I don't even believe this. So I go and like I look up the like the person's name, the number and all that, and all of it checked out.
Right.
And so then I'm like, all right, perfect. You know, what are the information about the audition and all that? And they're like, all right, you're confirmed for tomorrow. Please bring workout clothes, and this is the address.
Right.
The address was in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
And I was supposed to be there the next day at 10 a.m.
Right.
It was 8 p.m. at that point.
Oh, shoot. So,
you know, I get excited. I'm like, yeah, I get an audition. Wait a minute, stupid. You don't have a flight. So I hop on kayak.com, and it happened to be one flight with one seat left that worked. That would get me there at 9 a.m.
Right.
So I buy that, and I'm like so excited. I'm like, you know, I'm not even going to sleep tonight. This is I'm so excited. So I actually don't sleep that night, and then get on the plane and get sat right next to the baby, who like.
Oh, you sat next to the baby?
Like to
a baby.
Like,
I was like, the baby. Yeah.
not the like a baby who like decides to scream the whole time. So I tried to sleep on the flight. There was no sleeping. I'm like, all right. So now I'm worn out, like completely tired, like, and have to do a physical like audition. I'm like, great. So I get there at 9, and you know, I'm sure you've been to Atlanta's airport. That place is massive,
huge. Yeah.
Yeah. So I go to where the train is that takes you from terminal to terminal, and it says it's down for maintenance.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, great. So that means I have to take off sprinting through the airport to get to the rental-car place. And I get there to the rental-car place at like about 9:30 or so. So get in my car and totally 100% did the speed limit all the way to the of course all the way to the studio, and go through security and everything and get to where I'm supposed to be at in the like at the parking lot at 9:58. So I have to be there at 10, and I don't have time to change to my like workout clothes or anything. So I ended up doing the audition in like a hoodie and jeans and all that. Right. So, but the audition was like a we had to learn the first fight sequence for the film. So we had these like long martial arts sticks and all that, and they had already started by the time I got in there because I was kind of late. So then they pulled me over and like teach me on something I missed. And then I joined the rest of the group, and like the whole time, me being tired and all that, I'm like making tons of mistakes. I'm like, wait, let me try to do that. Nope, that's not it. That's not it either. Like, oh crap, like this is not good right now. And so then at the end of the of them teaching everything, they actually had us do the fight scene with like each other and like kind of judge everyone. And I didn't do the greatest, so I'm like, I'm not going to get this, But it was so much fun. I'm like, this is the most fun audition I've pretty much ever done, know. But and then later that day, I had to go back to the airport because I had to go back to Chicago that night. Because I had a flight the next day to go to New York because I had 2 like modeling jobs out there. Like,
oh shoot!
Yeah. So that week it was Chicago, Dallas, Chicago, Atlanta, Chicago, New York, all within like 4 or 5 days. So I'm like, this is awful. So I go to New York, and then I do the first job, which was a commercial for Apple. So I do that, but the whole time I'm thinking like, I just auditioned for Black Panther, which I thought like I wasn't going to get the opportunity to do like over a year ago, when I first tried it. So I'm just like thinking about that, but I'm also thinking about the fact that I haven't heard anything yet. Like, and usually if they do like tell you something, it's like probably within a day or two.
Right.
They get back to you and like tell you something.
Right.
And like if they don't say anything, the only way you don't like you didn't get it is when the trailer comes out and you ain't in it. You know,
right.
That's pretty much
right.
how that goes. They don't tell you if you don't get it. So I'm just wondering like what's happening with this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I finished with that commercial, and then I go walk around in New York for a bit, and I end up like right outside of Madison Square Garden. So I'm like sitting on one of the benches out there, and I'm just like, thinking about this whole thing, and like I still haven't heard anything, but like just for Black Panther, like I'm still like kind of happy about the whole thing.
Yep.
And then shortly after that, I get an email from Target because that was like the next job I had to do.
Mm-hmm.
A monster for Target. So they're like, there's a problem with the clothes for the shoot, so we're gonna have to like push this back to later in the year. So I'm like, okay, great.
Right.
Now I have like a couple of days in New York to do whatever, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
So probably 5 or 10 minutes after that, I get an email from some company in Chicago, and they're like, this is a direct booking, like you already got the job, guaranteed money, like you have to come back like pretty much like the next day to get there to shoot like 2 days from now.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, this is guaranteed money, I'll cut my trip short, go do that. So I buy a ticket back to Chicago. About 5 or 10 minutes after that, a different casting company, but still under like the Target umbrella, they email me and they're like, we want you to come in and audition for a national commercial for Target.
Right.
And it would be like pretty much at the same time that I'd be back in Chicago. So I'm like,
okay. Yep.
I'm like, I don't want to like give up guaranteed money for like a chance, you know?
Right, yeah.
And then they told me how much I would make on that commercial. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, I can stay. Right? Like, wait a minute.
Right, yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I guess I'm staying now. Right. So that would take me past like the initial time I was like scheduled to be like in New York. So now I had to like extend my trip. I'd have to get a new flight, get extend the hotel or like get a whole new hotel and all that. Right. So I'm like, I don't even want to think about this right now. I got a couple of days or whatever. So I'm gonna just go enjoy New York right now. So I go through Times Square, being a total tourist, and then I get pretty much all the way to like Central Park-ish, like around there.
Yeah.
And then I get a call, and I didn't recognize the number, and just kind of let it go to voicemail. Mm-hmm. So then I listened to the voice message, and it says, "This is the casting director from Black Panther. Mm-hmm. Give me a call as soon as possible."
Right.
And I've never hit read dial faster in my life. So they're like, the guy's totally drunk at the time, and he's like, "So we saw your audition, and we really liked it and everything. So we would love to hire you." Yeah. And I'm like, "What?" Right. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I was drinking a little bit, so you probably didn't understand me, but we would love to hire you." And I'm like, "Yes, okay. Right. When am I needed?" And he said, "Tomorrow at 9.
Oh my goodness.
Great.
Right.
So like just out of like reaction, I was like, I'm in New York right now. Mm-hmm. And so then I hear him shuffling through like papers and everything. And he's like, "Well, we have you here marked down as a local guy to Atlanta. You are from Atlanta, right? Because if you aren't from Atlanta, then we're going to have to go with the next person we have in mind." Because like the industry's kind of cheap, and they would rather just get someone who's there, so they don't have to like house them and all that. So yeah. I'm like, oh great. And now I really have to like assess my situation. Like, I'm in New York right now. I'm not from Atlanta or Georgia, period.
Right.
And I don't really have anywhere to stay.
Yeah.
So I do what any sane person would do and lie like crazy. Of course I'm from Atlanta. And I can get there no problem. Right. He's like, all right, perfect, you're hired. Right. I'm like, yeah, great.
Right.
So I hop on kayak.com one more time.
Yeah. And
this time there's 0 flights and 0 seats that work. Everything's sold out because I'd have to leave like that same night pretty much. Nothing's works. So I'm like, oh great, how am I going to get there now?
Right.
And so about that time, the guy texts me and is like, so we're going to need your address to verify, you know.
Oh my goodness.
Everything. So I'm like, oh great. But my mom, she's from Georgia, and like she has about like 12 or 13 siblings.
Right.
All of them had kids. So I'm like, somebody has to live like in Atlanta. So I text her like, Mom, who lives in Atlanta? Give me their address. And she's like, why? What's this for? I'm like, don't ask questions right now. I need this information. So she sends me one of my cousin's address, and so I send that to the person, and then they're like, all right, perfect, you're actually hired now. I'm like, great. I still don't have a way to get there. Right. You know, so I called my aunt, and so I started off the conversation like, so I heard from Atlanta, and she's like, what, you got it? And I'm like, yeah, but this is my situation. And so I tell her everything, and she's like, boy, if you don't get off this phone and get to Atlanta right now, and hangs up on me. I'm like, oh, all right, bye, Auntie.
Right, you know? Right. Yeah.
So after talking to her, I go back on kayak.com just one more time, just like see if anything happens.
Right.
And this time, now there's 1 flight, 1 seat later that night that just opened up. Right. So I'm like, all right, let me hurry up and buy that. How much is this? $600 one way.
Oh my goodness.
This is for my career right now.
Right.
So I just hurry up and buy that thing.
Yeah.
There's like 2 seconds of me just like breathing, like, okay, I got something. And then I just like take off running.
Yeah.
So I'm sprinting through Times Square, and it's Times Square, so there's like a ton of people there.
Right.
I'm using like every football move I know. Just like, let me club. So I go and get to my hotel room, pack everything in there, the rundown to the lobby, and I'm like, I have to check out now, you know.
Right.
And it's about like 6 at that time. My flight's at like 8 something.
Right.
So I'm like, you know, I'm cutting it close. So I'm like, I have to check out like right now. And she's like, we're gonna have to charge you for the days that you didn't use. And I'm like, ouch. But like, all right, it's fine. Like, just check me out now.
Yeah.
So I handed her my card. She swipes it again, swipes it another time. She's like, your card's not working.
Yeah.
I'm like, right now?
Right.
So about that time, my credit card company calls me. And they're like, there's a bunch of purchases that don't make sense.
Right.
Like we're guessing you're in New York, but you were in like Chicago yesterday, Atlanta before that. You just bought a ticket to Chicago at the same time as a ticket to Atlanta. So none of these things make sense. I'm like, that was all me.
Right. Yeah.
Like, the first time anyone's probably ever said, this is all me, you know?
Right.
So then they unfreeze my card, and then I get checked out. So then I run to the subway, and it's probably 6:30, something like that. Right. So I'm like, great, I'm cutting it close again. Mm-hmm. So get on the subway, and I get like 4 stops from the airport. Mm-hmm. We go under a tunnel, and then the train stops.
What in the world?
I'm like, really? Right now?
Right.
And so then, like, every 5 minutes, there's like an announcement, like, the MTA service is down for maintenance right now.
Right.
Every 5 minutes, I'm like, I heard you the first time. Thank you. Right. And like I said, I'm in a tunnel right now, and I'm like the only person on that car, Mm-hmm. So there's no one around. I have no cell service. I'm like, I have no one to call, no one to talk to.
Right.
And then I think about it. Yes, I do. So I literally get on my knees and start praying. And I'm like, God, you brought me so far right now. You did not bring me this far to fail.
Right.
And about as soon as I said that, the train starts like taking off. I'm like, oh great, perfect.
Right. Yeah.
And so I was going to LaGuardia, and I'm thinking like, this is going to be awful there. One of the busiest places. So I get there, and it's like totally empty.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? So I go and run through security, and my gate just happened to be like right across from where security was. And I get there right as they're calling like last call for my flight, and they're actually calling my name, like, Mark Willis, we're about to take off right now.
Right.
So I go and run on the plane, and I'm getting all the dirty looks from everybody, like, okay, this is the late person. I'm like, I don't even care. I'm about to be in Black Panther. Skip all you.
Right.
So I get to Atlanta, and it's it's like after midnight the next day, and there's only like, I had to rent a car, and there's only one rental car place still open at the time.
Right.
So I go over there, and I'm like, I have to rent a car, and she's like, all right, cool, for how long? And I'm like, I have no idea, because I'm about to film a movie. I have no idea how long I'm supposed to be there.
Right.
So I'm like, we'll just say like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And she's like, all right. And so she's like, how you gonna pay? So I give her my card, and she's like, this is a debit card, so that means you have to have your return flight info.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, I don't have my return flight info, because I don't know when I'm going to be, back. Right. And I'm like, so I tell her, like, I don't know, because I'm about to film a movie. And she's like, really? Yeah. What movie? And I'm like, really hesitant to tell her, because, it's under like a non-disclosure agreement and all that. So I'm like, do I tell her?
Yeah.
All right, whatever. Black Panther. She's like, what? You're about to film Black Panther? Like, forget about all the flight info, all that. Just like, give me the car. Well, I'll swipe you through. All that stuff.
Yeah.
So I get my car, and then like during that whole time that I was like on the flight, my mom had contacted my cousin and told her like the situation. He's like, oh, he's filming a movie? Like, yeah, he can stay here. So then I go and drive to my cousin's house, and get to my room, and I'm just like, wow, I'm here. Like, I made it.
Right.
And so that's the story of how I got the role.
Wow. That's intense, man. There's so much.
Yeah.
We know, so crazy. There's so much. That's like a movie within itself.
Yes.
You had to overcome. You had opportunity. You had doubt.
Yes.
And you were able to persevere.
Yeah.
It all, and God bless you with the opportunity to
Black
Panther. And the crazy thing right there, because with the NFL cutthroat, man. You get cut, you get picked up.
Right.
I've seen players get picked up one day, then get cut the next day.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man. And so,
and no guaranteed money, right?
No guaranteed money. You know what I mean? And so the thing is, like, that does something to your soul. Like, you know what I mean? And so that's what I hear from you. So how do you deal with the emotional pain, your emotional health? You know what I mean?
Gotta say, like, prayerful, like, just keep praying and like hoping that God actually has like a plan, and that everything that is for you will be for you, and it won't miss you. So just keeping that in mind and being prayerful and just asking for guidance and all that.
Right.
And then I just try to keep a positive attitude. Like I said, thinking that whatever is for you and won't miss you. So if this is for me, then it'll work out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And just stepping out on faith and leaving.
Yeah, I got you. So a lot of it's just like faith. You're very grounded in your faith.
Yeah.
Do it all, man. That's awesome because it can take a toll on you if you don't, stay grounded and stay within whatever does it for you emotionally. You know what I mean? Like for me too, it's my faith too as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's so cool. So you got Black Panther, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How was that whole experience?
It was a lot of fun, but a lot of work. Yeah. So that first day when we get on set, we had to get our haircut and everything. Like get fitted for our costume and then get a haircut. So at the time, I have like pretty much a fro situation going on there. I'm like, ouch. But all right, fine. You know, it's just like for a movie. Like, all right. So the first haircut they gave me was like, it was decent. You know, kind of like a fade thing. So then I go on, so I go on set, and the assistant director looks at me and is like, "You look so much like Winston Duke right now that."
Like who?
Winston Duke, person who plays M'Baku.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's like, you look so much like him with that people are gonna get confused. So go back and change it.
Yeah. So
they go all the way back there, and this time they give me a haircut that looks kind of like a reject Mr. T. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, this is awful. This is terrible. And so now I go back and go back to set, and by that time they're already well into like learning everything for like the film, like all the fight stuff. So I had to like really play catch up and everything to like, try to learn everything. And then it was kind of like my audition, like making a ton of mistakes. So I'm like, so it's difficult. There were like 5 different fight sequences, and each one of those had like 5 or 6 different parts to it. So learning those were like so hard because they're kind of similar but like still different. So there's a lot of times where you like will start doing one of them and then realize like, wait, that's like the next one, that's like number 2 or like number 4 or something like that. So a bunch of like mental mistakes that first day. And so at the end of the day, it was kind of like a athletic like football thing where like they test you, where it's like, okay, so if you make it through all of these, then you're good. But if you make a mistake, you have to do 50 push-ups. So we all got swole that day. We got really swole because all of us were making tons of mistakes. So at the end of the day, they're like, okay, you can take home like the martial arts stick and like practice at home. So I take it home with me, and I'm like, I'm not doing this when people can see me. So I wait until it's like pitch black, dark outside, and I go outside in my cousin's front lawn. I'm just like killing it all night, just like doing all that over and over again. It's like repetition, and all that, like all through the night. Barely slept, pretty much. And so then the next day, they're like, all right, this time, if you make it through, then you make everyone else do push-ups. And I'm like, I've been waiting for this all night. So made everyone do push-ups a few times. So there was that. And then the third day was like just reviewing everything. And then the fourth day was like, all right, go do it. So it was such a quick turnaround. It's like from learning everything to like actually doing it that like you had to be like really on top of your game for that whole thing. So then that first day was just like magical because like you see everyone in their like elaborate costumes and everything, and it's like whoa, you know. And so we were like pretty much in a random field in like the middle of a forest in Atlanta, you know.
Yeah.
Like you would never know it was there because it was just surrounded by like this huge forest, but like it was like this huge field. And so then like the actual battlefield was surrounded by blue screen. So it looked nothing like, you know, like the final product. We're just like, so when you like go to the premiere and like see it, it's like, whoa, it's like nothing like that, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, we were on set for like 12 to like 14 hours a day. So just like constant work. And like I said, we would do all like the different fight sequences. And so what we would do is we would have a partner, and it would like switch like every few takes, like different people. And what we would do is we would call out the ones that we want to do beforehand. So we would probably choose like 3. That's probably like how much time we have. So we would choose like maybe 1, 2, 3, or choose 1, 5, 4, or something like that. You know, just like switch it up and make sure like everyone around you isn't doing like the same thing. So communication is really key. Yeah. So there was one time when I called number 2 and my partner did number 3 instead. And we had these like giant sticks, and they had these swords, but they're like plastic, but they're still like pretty sharp, you know. So I go for one move from number 2, and he goes for one move with number 3, and he manages to slash my finger open.
Oh shoot!
So I didn't realize it like when I did it, and he looks down at my hand and is like, "Oh my god, dude, I'm sorry." And I'm like, "What?" And I look down at my hands like entirely like red, and I'm like, "Oh crap!" You know? And so then like the medics run over and they like, "You all right? You all right?" And I'm like, "Just take me up and let me go back on the field because I'm not missing any of this." It was totally like a football thing. Like, you know, you might get injured and it's like, you know what? I'm going back out there. I'm not missing any of this. And so, yeah, there was that. And then getting to meet all the stars, like meeting Chadwick and Winston and like Lupita and Forrest Whitaker I actually worked with on Empire before. So I did a scene on Empire where I married his niece's his niece in the show. And so when I got on Black Panther, he was like, "Hey, you married my niece." And I'm like, "You remember that?" Like, what? That's crazy. Right. So yeah, all of them were like really cool and everything. And all right, a funny story on set. There was like in that final battle, there's one part where M'Baku has like a gigantic stick, and he goes and like hits one guy in the head, and then turns around and like super kicks this dude like in the stomach, and like he goes flying. So the first time, all they did really was like walk through it. They didn't do it like full speed practice. So the first time he just like cocks back and goes boom, like full force, right in dude's chest, and the dude goes like flying. And we're like, oh crap. And so he's like in so much pain, he like crawls over to like literally crawls over to where we are.
So he actually kicked him.
Yeah, he kicked him for real. And he crawls over to where we are, and he's like, "He kicked me for real." And we're like, "Yeah, I know, I saw it." And so then one of the other people is like, "I have a chest plate, you can wear that, and like it'll like maybe, you know, soften the blow a little bit." And he's like, "All right, I'll take that." So he straps that on, and like the second time was even worse. Just like in slow motion, just boom, flying. I never saw him again. I don't know. I think he's still floating somewhere. I think he gone.
Right.
So it was, it was hilarious.
See, so that confirms some things for me. I didn't know they actually like, kicked, and I thought it was like they did some, like animation, but they actually kicked.
Yeah, you really got it.
Right.
But there were also some times where they had built this like giant blue stage, and so they had us like do pretty much the fight sequence but by ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And what they would do is we run through that stage like maybe 3 or 4 times, and then what they would do, which they actually reused for Avengers Infinity War, and they would like digitally put in some of our like enemies and all that, and then like reproduce us all over. So that happened too, but most of it was like still like us doing it,
Yeah,
but
your face.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's next now, though? So what do you got going now, man? I know your ultimate goal is to have your own TV series, be a star in a movie, have your production company to help out, get better roles for the Black community. Man, your mindset is so cool because it's so rooted in your faith, but you believe that failure is like a learning option for you, and basically just control what you can control. And then perseverance, you got crazy perseverance, man. So what's like next? No, before I ask that, I don't want to ask that. I want to ask, you didn't have any acting experience before this, right?
Right.
Okay, so what's your process when it comes to like mastering the skills of being an actor?
Ooh, at the start it was rough. So, I mean, like you remember me back in college, I was quiet.
Yeah.
So, which acting is like totally like kind of changed everything, So, trying to get over that for one, and then trying to master each role. I think basically what you have to do is like create a character like without even knowing the full scope of the character, because when you get an audition, you'll get like maybe like a line of description and that's it. You're supposed to build a character from that. So what you do is like give the person a backstory, pretty much like, this is like what this person does, this is like his situation or whatever, and like try to add some of yourself into like the role to make it like real, like not some made up thing,
Right.
So building a character off of pretty much nothing, and then adding yourself into it, that's kind of process, really.
Right. So what did you learn that?
I think they teach you how to. I learned that really from doing PD. Like other people on set, they're really willing to like talk to you and open to sharing like stuff about the industry and all that. So learning from them and being like, yeah, you have to take your experience, because like the person that, because I do like stunts and doubling as well, and one of the people that I doubled for on PD, he's like from Chicago, and he portrays a cop on the show, and he's like Black, of course. So like he's using like his experience like growing up in Chicago, and like the interactions that he's had with cops, to be like, all right, now I want it to be like a positive thing for like Black interaction with cops and like the community and all that. So so like watching him do that, and then like, okay, this is how you like kind of form a character with that. And so I'm like, all right, cool. Now I can use what I learned from this to like, make my own. So
right.
Yeah.
Got you. So how long did it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're still trying to master the skills. You're still trying to grow. But how long before you like really like caught on?
Ooh, probably just before Black Panther, when I started doing like my own like getting away from like doing just like double roles and all that, and like going on to doing my own stuff, doing like smaller roles and like really trial and error, you know, just trying to figure everything out. So that's probably 2 or 3 years in, you know.
Right.
Like,
yeah. So it takes time.
Yeah, it takes time.
No, that's dope, man. So what's next? What's next for you? I mean, I know you're still, you know, working and striving to get to your ultimate vision, but what's next for you right now?
Right now, there's so much like uncertainty with like this virus. So the PD, Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, all those were supposed to be like continuing to film like for another month and a half, and they're like, nope, that's all shut down. So now all those projects, like pretty much all projects in the industry now, are shut down until like June, July-ish. So there's so much uncertainty to like even know when we're going to come back and everything. So it's kind of difficult right now.
Yeah, and sure.
Even on the modeling side, it's like, because I have an agent in London actually. So I was just over there doing a shoot, and they were that was like at the very start of like the travel ban and all that. And so now like we might be cut off from going like overseas to do stuff. And also companies are really hesitant to use people who have been in places with like high cases of the virus. So it's like there's so much uncertainty right now. Like no one really knows what's next or what to do. So we'll have to see.
For sure. Sure. And so you know, what do you you know, what are you doing in the meantime? Just kind of like still trying to master skills, or you know, what you have
there's a bunch of like, now people are going to like online workshop like that route to like help like actors like stay on top of the game, because if you don't use it, you will lose it for sure. So doing online workshops and stuff is like huge right now, and then talking to other actors and seeing like, you know, what they're doing like to stay on top of things, and like because the options right now for like casting stuff is not really great. You got like a lot of reality TV stuff, and I don't really want to go that route, you know. That's a nasty route right there. So that's pretty much all that's casting right now. And it's,
it's not for you.
No.
I got you. So now what is one thing people want? What is one thing you want people to know about you? One, and then two, you know, do you like long walks on the beach? Do you like seeing what is it, rom-coms? Do you like seeing rom-coms? Or and then the last thing is like, you know, what is 2 tangible things you can give to someone to help them maybe be a better leader or get that edge in life? You know what I mean? What is 2 things you got for people?
Something someone should know about me. Keep going back to like just being a self-starter. That's like huge in every aspect of life. Like, like even from going to like the college thing, like being on top of recruiting and all that, to like, you know, being in the workout room every day and all that. And because even like being in there when people like will give you workouts and everything, you have to be on top of doing it, and like, because you just be in there chilling and doing whatever, but you have to really focus on like, all right, this is what I want to do to get better and all that. So really putting the work in. So I think that just said I'm a hard worker, and that's what you have to be in life pretty much. And I do like long walks on the beach. The occasional rom-com is all right.
Good. That's all you need in life. That's hilarious. Man, Mark, I really appreciate you, big dog. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate your story, because, you know, it inspired me, because, you know, even with what's going on with so much change, You need that faith, man. You need to be able to persevere. You need to be able to like reach deep down within and remember like the mission, because once you remember the mission, that'll keep you going forward.
Yes, yeah.
So I really appreciate you. This is another episode of Game Time Excellence. Do you have any last thoughts you want to say, or you know what I mean? Are you good?
Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever.
Yeah.
How you do this? I can't remember. It's been a minute. How you do it?
Yeah, it's right over left. So.
Like this?
Yeah. There you go.
There you go. Yeah. All right, man. Everyone, y'all have a blessed day, man. Remember your mission. Remember your mindset. Master the skills that you need to master, and then take care of yourself physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Have a blessed day.